biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into a special edition Misfit podcast, Misfit Affiliate Phase. The Wolf is live now. We take the time in this podcast to do a deep dive into what you can expect from the phase itself, why we put certain things in there, some coaching tips, some progressions, things that we think about in relation to this stuff in the affiliate setting. I think we do this type of podcast for a handful of reasons. First and foremost, it's for our affiliates, not just the people in charge of the programming, but also the coaches and even the members like to listen to these ones and sort of build up the narrative of the phase and what we're trying to accomplish. I think you get a little bit more buy-in there when people sort of really understand what's going on. It can also be an audition for people that are interested in the program. I think one of the things that helps us in this type of setting is when someone comes in and sees that we actually know what we're talking about, we're passionate about what we're talking about, that sort of thing. And then coaches, right? I mean, I shouldn't say just coaches and Larrys. Coaches, this is good information for you. The Larrys that are out there, Kool-Aid drinkers. I'm not making fun of you. Hunter and I are a couple of Kool-Aid drinkers ourselves.
Big Kool-Aid guy.
But so we basically just talk about the phase. You can head to teammisfit.com, click on sign up now, and that will get you a 2-week free trial at SugarWOD, Push Press, or StreamFit. You can also just let me know, Misfit Athletics, DMs, coach@misfitathletics.com, email if you'd like to get a sample before signing up for that, because I know some people prefer to see it kind of all at once right in front of their face, and I have the Wolf sample kind of ready to go that I've been sending out to certain people that wanted to ask about it. A couple of housekeeping items and live chat before we dig into this. Housekeeping, more than anything, just an official switch to Telegram for our affiliates. You guys are going to be receiving an email sent out. We'll also post it in the Discord. Funny enough, private groups in Discord.
Switching from Discord to Telegram.
Yeah, private groups in Discord are a giant pain in the ass. They're very simple and straightforward. It's just a link and you're in. When it comes to Telegram, so we're going to use that moving forward. It's also significantly easier to share videos. And so for us to share videos with you guys, if you guys are, working through an issue with an athlete and want to, send something over for me to look at for video review, whatever, just a little bit easier to do. So we will have the Misfit Athletics Telegram, which any of your coaching staff, members, whoever can talk to people about the affiliate program. And then we will send out the link for the new private group where you guys have that sort of direct access to us. Other than that, if you're listening to this and you're wondering where our individual programming is, you can just click on the link in bio on Instagram. That will take you to either Strivey or Fitter to get signed up for any of our programs. Life chat. Hunter, what's up?
I think I'm a bird guy now.
Whoa! A bird guy?
Out of left field. Golf's not working out for me, so I think I'm a bird guy now.
Okay. You're going to start baking bread next. Or did you already start that?
I think that one came and went. No, yeah, not a whole lot of life chat. Was off last week. But the bird guy thing is only like a minor joke, and I'm sure some people listening are like, fucking noob, just downloaded the Merlin Bird ID app. Have you ever heard of that? It's a Cornell.
Sort of like the plant one?
Yeah, it's similar. You just record audio and it identifies what birds are chirping in your microphone sort of thing. But I'm like sitting out on my balcony or like on the golf course walking around with my phone just like trying to identify new birds. But my rule is unless it like the audio picks it up multiple times, it doesn't count as a new one because you'll get like a fucking like red-beaked long leg Widowmaker, super rare, some random fucking bird name, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick, but it like then it doesn't chirp again. So I gotta wait for like the confirmation, but yeah, binoculars might be in the future. I don't know, maybe you're really getting into it, but and then my second live chat is, you'll enjoy this, but he might be done, but I did watch Kyle play hole number 1 of Riverside North Course today. Bless his soul.
I was wondering what it would be like to go out there and play around. I mean, I know he's playing 9, but still play around when you don't really know how to do it yet. That's got to be something.
Nerve-wracking for sure. Yeah. And like, yeah, it was funny. I knew what time his tee time was. He was talking to me about it. He was nervous, like that sort of thing, understandably. Shit, I think it just poured for a second.
Over under 60 strokes.
If he was counting all of them like true to the rules, I'd have to guess it's over with all due respect. It was funny. As I was actually driving in, coming down like the Washington Ave side of Riverside. Yep. So I'm like, I passed the first tee box and I kind of glanced over. It was right around 8:40 when I like drove past, and I was like, wow, that actually looks exactly like Kyle. Like literally on the tee box, I watched him swing, drove in, got to the gym. Like 10, 12 minutes later, I just kind of like, I'm looking out my window onto the fairway, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Kyle. And then there he is, blue polo, just making his way from the fairway to the green.
Just making his way in the world.
Making his way in the world all by his lonesome with 3 other 800-year-old men at Riverside North Course.
That's perfect, though. That's good.
It is the ideal first round out there. So, well, maybe Kyle quit. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he had a great time and he's at the driving range now fixing some swings. But
also so hot. Like,
yeah, this is a tough day one.
Yeah, dew point 6,000.
Yeah, he's walking and carrying that bag too.
So this is gonna turn into bird chat. I gotta share my screen here.
Ooh,
choose that. Guess I'm just gonna share my screen then. That's not gonna be good.
Well, I'll continue my live chat and just say don't sign up for the wolf phase. I'm fucking dead. Day 1, day 2, I'm tired, ruined. I'm canceling my subscription.
Can I share this? This is good stuff, guys. Trust me. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to share my entire screen. Look at this guy.
Oh, is that an owl?
Yeah, dude. And he let me walk.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, dude. Look at that guy. Let me walk right up. He's in our driveway. I call him Owlie. See if
Classic.
Yeah.
Whoa, that is both cute and terrifying. Like,
oh yeah,
very much at the same time.
Yep. Yeah. So Carter has a few owl books and is super into it. And we were actually outside, and I saw him fly across the driveway. It's like so distinct. Like they're gigantic when they're flying.
Really?
So we went and found him in the woods and kind of scared him off. And then after I put Carter to bed, I was like, shit, he's back. And I went out with my 100mm lens.
Yeah.
And he basically at a certain point just kind of had enough of me staring at him. But he basically just let me don't leave. Don't do that. Just
photograph
him
on
the podcast. Yeah, he just let me walk up to him and take pictures. And anytime a car drove by or a stick snapped, he would do the over 180-degree head turn, which is so creepy.
Oh,
so
that's
he's
weird.
still chest facing me,
facing
and
you.
He's looking in the exact opposite direction. But
has he hooted yet or?
Oh yeah.
Chirped?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
You see him do that. What was crazy though is Carter and I scared him back into the woods, and the animals, there's a strip of woods between my house and my neighbors, and the animals were not happy. The amount of chatter from small birds and rodents was through the roof. It was yo, there's a fucking owl here.
Yeah.
And then I was driving home the other day, I saw a hawk swoop down and kill something, and he was just I wanted to see him fly away with it, but he was killing it. He was stuffing it into the ground, and I was just God, carnage.
Fucking nature's gnarly.
Dude? So crazy.
We were walking. Andrea and I went to Willard Beach the other night. Actually saw Evan and Rachel, and they were looking at I don't know if it was a bluebird or a blue jay. It was a blue bird, and he was kind of Evan was staring at him, and Evan's in his tank top and Tevas, and he looks like he's a bird guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he's looking at the bird, and it's oddly close. And I was like, "What are you looking at, guy?" And he didn't notice that I saw him, but he was like, "Yeah, a hawk just fucking annihilated this bird," and the poor bluebird is limping away after the hawk just fucking.
Birds are wild, man.
Snagged him, dude. They're fucking crazy.
I used to.
You should download that app. I bet you get all kinds of cool shit back in your
what's it called?
In your house out there. It's called Merlin. Let me see exactly what it's called.
I used to get distracted by the
Bird ID, and it's by Cornell.
Okay.
You just sound record, and it'll tell you what's chirping out there.
I used to play men's league baseball. There would always be hawks flying over the field, and the crows were trying to kill the hawk, and it was so crazy to watch.
Really?
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them ganging up on it, and the crow getting pissed. And it's you got to be careful because baseball, your mind can wander a little standing in the outfield. And fucking cracks a fly ball over your head, and you're talking about crows.
I don't know where that shit's going.
Yeah.
I was on Nunsuch one day, and I was getting ready to putt, and all of a sudden like a shadow just like really quickly completely covered me. It was like super fast, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And I looked up, and it's just a hawk with a fucking massive wingspan, just blotted out the sun for a second.
Yeah, wild. I got 2 minor updates. Project Lollipops is still a go. I got 2 sessions of pressing in, but the bench press accessory is not a go. Luckily, I'm able to do push-ups, so I've swapped those in, and then all of my like pressing accessory has been fine. And the funny thing is, Ryan McKay hit a 260-pound 2-rep max bench in class to take what I would consider to be the normal person first place of the day.
Yeah, okay.
So I benched 261.
Right.
To be an asshole. And I think I hurt my shoulder. I think I found out how I hurt my shoulder. So, I kind of deserve that one, I guess. But yeah,
I'm
able
to
take the
lead back from him today and do a 3.5 minute 3K on a Echo bike.
Yeah, no, that's honestly Ryan had one of the highest cube test scores on the ski erg sitting when he fucked his knee up, and like will basically just be like, I had the worst day ever and have paces on a machine that I could train my whole life and not be able to do. So anyways, I'm pressing again, which is good. I don't feel as strong though, which is, I don't know if it's related to taking the time off or if it's related to my shoulder. Something's going on there, but I'll try to get a little bit of momentum and get back to it. And then I have a funny anecdote that I told you yesterday. I had a big PR on the bike route that I'm sort of repeating a bunch this summer. It's like 21, 22 miles, fairly hilly. And I don't know if that's like blasphemy to a cyclist. I'm just a random person that notices that there are a lot of hills. So
you're not a cyclist. You're someone who rides a bike sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not like riding. I know I'm not riding up a fucking mountain. But one cool thing though is I finally got like an actual, like one of the GPS things that you attach to the front. And it tells you the climb and it tells you the grade. So it tells you like, you're going to start climbing in 250 meters, and then it'll say like climb, and then it'll tell you like, this is the easiest part, this is the hardest part. So it goes from like green to yellow to red, which is just
tell
nice.
Me what to think, GPS.
And then it tells you when you're done how long it took you. And like being a numbers guy, there's one hill on the way back from Cousins Island on 88 that's bad. It's fucking gnarly. It's right by the like 295 exit in Falmouth. And going up that hill, like you can take, so it'd be, I don't know if you know Tuttle Road that goes all the way across.
I'm trying to picture it. Do you come
right
down
in the middle
Veranda?
Of that fucking hill.
Or I mean, do you go down Washington? Do you turn onto Washington and go all the way down?
No,
Washington,
so I
or you go the back way?
I start at Martin's Point, other side of the bridge of where you would go to like Mackworth Island.
Okay. Yeah.
And I ride down there and then right onto 88. And then 88 takes me to Cousins Island and I come back.
Yeah.
But that hill is pretty gnarly. But it's just cool to be like I'm still trying to figure out like what gear I should be in. Should I stand? Like different things like that.
Like physical gear on your bicycle.
Exactly.
Not
Yeah.
like
so like,
gear. Yeah.
like going from like a 240 up that hill to a 211, like even though it still hurts a lot, it's like, hell yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that can be kind of cool. But the funny anecdote is the like role reversal of telling Mark how I'm doing and like sending him my like GPS data and all that. And his line was that I have a 5-minute Fran, but I'm acting like I have a 2-minute Fran, and that I have no athlete IQ. And he said I have the heart rate of a cracked out mouse, which, I mean, that's going to remain true whether I'm going 15 miles an hour or 18 miles an hour. That's not going to fucking change. The funny thing is, so the first time that I did it, my heart rate, I averaged a 165. And he said, 165 for an hour and 20 minutes. Now that's living. And the funny thing is, that was actually skewed because I bonked.
Implying that that's like should be higher, or is like that's really high?
No, you're not supposed to.
Okay.
I spent most of that ride, the first ride, in zone 5.
Zone 8, yeah.
But the funny thing is the heart rate was dragged down because I bonked. Like the last 6 miles, my heart rate wasn't high and I wasn't going fast. My body was like, stop. What are you doing right now? Right? Like, just stop it. So the second time when I did it, I went from probably like an RPE 9 to like an RPE 6, and I had a 164 heart rate. And he was like, what the fuck happened? But like, I felt very comfortable. Dude, 160s for me? Stop it.
It's
Easy.
so weird. Like, yeah, that I feel like for me as well. Like
I'm just going to keep going
160
faster.
to 170. I can
is
hang out.
Yeah.
Like if you were registering my heart rate on this workout we just did, it was like I rolled off the bike at 185, and it's I didn't sprint to the finish. We'll say that. So I was hanging out up there for a hot minute, but yeah, that's weird.
All right. We have arrived at the actual point of the podcast. The name of this phase is the wolf. It's the famous Herb Brooks quote, "The legs feed the wolf." And there's something about the way that he described what this meant to the hockey team. So this is the coach of the Miracle on Ice USA hockey team. And just the way that he, what's the line here? So it's, "I can't promise you'll be the best team at Lake Placid in February, but we will be the best condition. That I can promise you." And just the idea inside of the gym in competition, whether you're, a straight up affiliate athlete 3 or 4 times a week, you're a weekend warrior, you're a competitor at a higher level, the truth of like being able to outwork someone to put yourself where you want to be versus just this idea of talent and potential and all this other shit is such a great message that like, this made so much sense to me. So "the legs feed the wolf" is the quote that he has, and we're doing heavy back squats in a decent amount of running intervals. And it's like, if you want your legs to be strong and you want to be harder to kill or whatever, like if you're doing your back squats and you're doing your running, you're going to be doing pretty damn well.
Yeah.
And the thing that I wanted to ask you, I actually asked you before, we don't have a ton of context for this, and maybe there's a listener that does, but his drill was red line and back, blue line and back, far line back, far red line back in 45 seconds. And I remember them making a very big deal of it in the movie, like the action, not the footage of them actually skating, but the cinematic movie. And I just love that idea of like that being your base. Like my base is that I am going to be able to go out there and put my best effort forward because there isn't something else holding me back when it comes to that. So it really just felt like an easy, like kind of a layup when I saw what the phase was in terms of naming it. And I just like it's fun to have a little narrative attached to these things because they're kind of painful, to be honest, as you might know from the last couple of days.
I mean, day 1, day 2,
right?
I need another week. I need another rest week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like if you're a coach or an owner or whatever, you're the middleman of the message between us naming the phase and your affiliate athletes, kind of emphasizing the importance of both like just general conditioning. Ultimately, CrossFit is a conditioning program meant for conditioning to make somebody as fit and healthy as they can. And like I've always said this, I don't know like. This is completely empirical, but like anytime my legs feel strong, feel well conditioned, like I am strong and well conditioned, like everything else falls into place. And I think from a relank kind of connecting the dots for your everyday gym goer, not somebody who's done CrossFit for a decade and a half, whatever, just emphasizing the importance that like because everything we do is one, either predominantly conditioning, or two, like hip driven core to extremity type movement that relies so heavily on leg strength, leg power, leg stamina, just overall fitness of your core and those tree trunks. Like there's just no way to get in better shape. Like you can't get in the same shape ski erging and bench pressing, right? You can get in phenomenal shape running and back squatting. Yeah.
I think I have a bit of a unique position on this because I've had bouts of
you're kind of in that.
Yeah. Like I can tell you right now, I used to do Texas method like once or twice a year. I was always the one testing our like strength phases and stuff like that early on in the beginning, whether it be Olympic lifting or things like the back squat. And I went from, in an athletic standpoint, taking my back squat from, the sort of the first jump was 300 pounds to 400 pounds. I went from someone who was always of average speed and power as an athlete. Like I did well in sports almost solely because I have a genetic like marker in my shoulder, the way that I can externally rotate. Like they've like studied people who can whatever throw a football 50 yards or throw a fastball 80 miles an hour, and it's like a mechanical thing in their arm. And like that was the narrative for why I was decent at sports. And like almost no time at all into CrossFit, it was like I'm actually like a power athlete. Like I never knew that. Sure. So like people who came up with me in the gym or when I participated in the sport that thought of me as someone who like could like sprint or lift heavy weights or something like that and didn't necessarily have the endurance. Like I was not aware that was who I was genetically as an athlete, whatever. And then hurting my back to the point where now I can't back squat and not like have like pretty bad repercussions from it. And I've actually read a decent amount about this, and there are just some people, their spine structure and having that bar loaded in that position, especially if you've got a butt wink, is just a recipe for disaster, basically.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now that like I've gotten into all of these endurance pursuits, and especially on something like a rower, not having that same level of leg drive that I used to, I just can't make up for it. And like, I'm sure that there is, you know, like part of me's always wanted to like get a Planet Fitness membership to like leg press once a week. You know what I mean? To try and get that back, you know, hack squat, leg press, whatever. And I'm sure I'll do that at some point. I even like once a month look at leg press machines on Craigslist.
Nice.
But I can tell you right now that the absence of it makes it so much more of a big deal in my head. Like, I want everyone to know how powerful of a movement this is and what it can do for you basically in every other place. So not to bury the lead here, our heavy days during this 8-week phase on odd weeks are going to be the back squat. And I do want you to pull up, Hunter, just read to the listener one of the sessions, because I think in a single back squat session, we are checking 3 extremely important boxes. Box number 1 being, are you getting enough reps in?
Yeah.
Like, if I was going to teach an affiliate class back squat session, I would every once in a while make people do 50 to 100 air squats as part of like a longer warm-up, just to be like, don't be afraid of this. Like, letting your body know what you're going to do and getting real greased up and getting that blood flow is going to allow you to lift heavier weights. So we check that box. This all makes sense here in a second. We have a population where we're not going to be able to like, hey, are you slow twitch dominant, fast twitch dominant, somewhere right down the middle? How do we check, 1, 2, or 3 of those boxes as well? So what do we got for an example for him?
So just for yesterday, or this was Monday, July 7th, week 1, day 1, the heavy day. So we'll talk a little bit about the structure of when you squat. Sometimes it'll be in a Metcon, but the lifting days are, so we had 9 reps at roughly 50% of your 1 rep max, and then a slow 1K bike as rest in between your sets. 7 reps at 60%, so 2 fewer reps, 10 more percentage points, another slow bike, 5 reps at 70%, 3 reps at 80%, and then 1 max rep set also at 80%, the same weight. There's a slow 1K bike in between each set, and then there's also like, because percentages don't always work out super neatly for your, your everyday affiliate athlete, and the coach's notes kind of indicate this, but like the max rep set is really where you kind of where an athlete makes their money in this phase. But the max rep set, the goal at 80% is like an 8 to 12 rep set. Some folks were a little under that. I suspect maybe they were using a back squat number that they haven't hit in a while, or maybe just because we haven't back squatted consistently, or any more consistently than any other lift in the last, month or two. Like, maybe they're a little bit low, and then you've got athletes on the other end who maybe don't really have any context for their 1 rep max and easily hit 12, maybe 15, and the occasional real odd person out. But either way, I mean, like, a set of 20 back squats, a set of 8 back squats at a pretty heavy percentage will do the trick for you.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, I think that it does check the boxes. I think it's absolutely necessary to have the occasional, 5x1, 7x1 at 90% plus day, right? Where it's just like, there's 7 total working reps in this workout. And for your more experienced athlete, that makes sense. There's a lot to be gained there. But for someone who, I've got a beginner in the 6:30 p.m. class yesterday who, like, motherfucker, I love him to death. He is 8,000 feet tall his limbs are everywhere and nowhere at once. And it's like just back squatting the empty barbell, there's so much weird movement going on that it's like I can't like in good faith put more weight on the bar, because like I don't know which direction your limbs are going to go as we approach like parallel. We try to toe the line between like, hey, I want you to squat low, but your back's rounding. So like, let's squat as low as you can without that happening. But then like limbs are doing some weird shit. The point being is like for athletes like that, or your newer athletes, or, you know, athletes who don't have, whose 1 rep max and their 5 rep max are effectively the same thing, having like a volume element to the back squat day, I think is really helpful to just get those athletes comfortable with the movement. And then for the athletes who are like, you know, who've done CrossFit for 3, 5, 10 years, like 9 reps at 50% isn't nothing. It's not super difficult, but it's like there's some volume there. And then like that adds up for sure. And like if you're that person, you kind of know how to grind through a max rep set. Like people listening to this know, like if you do a max like almost to failure, we tell athletes to go like, hey, we're not going to like failure where you just get folded in half by a barbell, but it's like, well, when the last rep is a little like, squirrely, like we're done.
I shouldn't do another one of these.
Yeah, let's not do another one of those. But like I was talking to one of those members yesterday and he was like, hey man, what should I do for weight? Because I can keep this bar on my back. Like I'll stand here for 3 minutes and keep squatting, but my arms are going to fall asleep. My low back's going to pump out. My heart rate's going to be at 170, but I can still keep squatting. So we had a conversation about like, yeah, let's not get in that situation. But the volume kind of really, I think this structure works well for a really, really wide range of athletes, whereas like the heavy singles, that's like that caters to a smaller group. Super high volume, that's not always like great, but I don't know. I think this session will be, or these sessions will benefit athletes, especially at this time of year.
Yeah, I agree. And what's cool is, you know, for the listener, there's a progression built into it, and you get to sort of work through something that is going to take you from point A to point B. And while that's not always the case in an affiliate setting where we're, you know, really relying on variance and just getting people a great workout and a good 1 hour class, having just a few of those things to hold on to makes you feel like you're on kind of a specific track. So I think we'll be seeing what we saw. You know, one thing we should do either at the end of the podcast or on another one is talk about all of the deadlift PRs, like a gym posting that they got a 65% PR rate after a phase is really cool.
Was that Nicole's gym?
No, I think that was, I'd have to go back and look at the actual percentage number. I don't want it to be blasphemy. It was very high, but it was Jesse's gym. So Switchback CrossFit.
Oh, sick.
It was crazy what the number was. And again, that's probably something like that, and something like this back squat phase is this perfect example of us weaving not just a narrative of something like the Wolf, but of the idea of the back squat into like, it's almost like the CrossFit program is in disguise. You know what I mean? Like it's in there, and like you're doing couplets and triplets, and the movements rotate and all that. And it's truly a GPP program, but a lot of people will latch onto that narrative. And oops, I also got extremely fit at the same time. And I just think that helped the community.
And I was just pulling up Nicole Christensen, her gym, CrossFit Roots. They do Misfit affiliate programming, and I got just like a picture of their whiteboard, which God bless them, there's close to 50 names on there at the time that she sent it. And she was like, the attachment was 31 PRs, and it's not even 9:30 a.m.
And
so I got like a follow-up from her. It's just cool to see. And like they've been doing CrossFit for a long time. They got a lot of full-time staff and like elite level coaches, and it's just cool to see like athletes who are under like the supervision of really high quality coaches, and you pair that with what we think is the best program out there. It's like, well,
and that's what I was going to say is when we think about Jesse and his crew and Nicole and her crew, when you combine that staff and that culture with our programming, I think you're really off to the races.
Yeah.
And I think some coaches believe that they're like taking a step back from their gym by not programming for it. But I can tell you right now that like there's a reason why I posted the video to Misfit Athletics of all the Roots athletes deadlifting. I mean, it was such a diverse group of people deadlifting.
Yeah.
It was the same. There's a lot of weight on every single bar, and they looked really fucking good.
Yeah.
So doubling down on culture and coaching and having somebody else take care of your programming, I think is a recipe for something really special happening at your gym versus every single piece of the gym and each one of them sort of gets pulled down a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have some good examples.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I won't go too far down that because I've got thoughts on that. I think that like the way that they do it is correct, right? My opinion is like if you're not programming for your own, like there should be a really good reason that you're not programming for your own gym. And if you're not, there has to be a level of like ownership and proactivity to take the program that you're purchasing and make sure that like your coaches are like on point. Because we get a lot of requests for people with like, well, like I want a timeline. I want specific skills and drills. I want exact scaling. Like I want level 1, level 2, level 3 scaling. And like there's on the one hand, there is a level of like, yep, that's like that makes it easier for the members. Like I can understand why that's there. I also perceive that personally. I perceive that as it's just straight up laziness, not to beat around the bush. And that's might not be the case for everybody, but it's like, you're going to buy an affiliate. Like how much of this do you want us to do? Like, cause in a lot of like, we get a lot of affiliates where it's like, okay, we're like, do you want us to come coach this for your classes as well? Like
Sure.
Respectfully, where it's like, is the coach the whistleblower, like the just the time manager of just like, yep, here's the flow, here's the timeline. All right, athletes, look at it. We're in stage 2 of the class. You know, that sort of thing. That ain't it. And there's other reasons that we don't have things like timelines in there. But again, talking to Nicole, she's like, I can't wait for, like, we've got benchmark week next week at her gym. We didn't program that. So what I'm hearing is like, and we talked about this, so I know that they do like a semi-annual like benchmark testing where and they actually take the data points of their athletes to make sure that they're like, that either whatever program they were following or are currently following is like, is this objectively working? Which is
Sure.
what we want. And that's the reason we have like the test retest and we put in like classic CrossFit benchmarks here and there, is because we want to see those data points. But that's like the proactive. It's like, okay, yep, we do want somebody else to write the program, because I understand that a lot of people don't like it. But when you see that, once you receive the programming, it's like, okay, yep, got the gist of it. Like, we are going to take this and now we're going to run with this at our affiliate, not like, where's the timeline? Where are the drills? Like, where, like, tell me exactly what to do. Hold my hand the entire way. Otherwise, like, I don't want to pay for it. It's like, that's fine. Don't pay for it. But we need that initiative.
Yes, the initiative to me is the point that matters the most to me. I think everyone is at a different spot in their career and in their journey. And, you know, if you need help to improve, you know, that's what the private group is for. That's what, like, we have articles and videos relating to things like the timeline. And, you know, we always talk about scaling. We put content out there that's like that. So if you're early in your career and you do have a bunch of initiative, that's where I would be like, I get it. I understand you want help.
For sure.
And you should ask for it, for sure. And that's one thing that separates both our competitive programming and our affiliate programming. I will talk with any of you anytime you want to. We can go over stuff. We can talk about it. Like, this is a true kind of dream job passion thing for me. But if you are on the low skill, low initiative side, there isn't a ton that we can do for you. And honestly, like, that's typically where we get the gyms that are program hoppers that, you know, go from program to program because one member doesn't like that there isn't 8 strength pieces per week, and then the other one doesn't like that there aren't way more conditioning pieces, and blah, 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 that sort of thing. Okay, back to the Wolf. So back squat is on the odd weeks in the heavy day in a manner that Hunter described there, and then is in WOD on even weeks. I like this when I go in and look at what the workouts are, because it's a unique stimulus. You can do more work and have a higher level of adaptation with that barbell on your back in a Metcon. There's an insinuation of like, do I want to fucking rack this thing again?
Sure.
And then
sure.
unrack it. And then also, again, just from a structural standpoint, with it being in line, you know, with your body, with your structure, your spine, your midline, all of that stuff, we can push adaptation when it comes to that. And I think you can kind of find something out about yourself within the back squats. You might go back to one of those AMRAP sets and be like, I think I can push myself a little bit further this week. So it's not the most convenient thing to do year round. It's a lot easier to have somebody, doing a power clean or doing a front squat, because then you can spread way out all over the floor. But for just a few weeks this summer, having these workouts in WOD, like, you guys are going to notice the difference. Like, you're going to feel your legs are going to hurt more. Your midline is going to be taxed. Like, it's going to be cool to see how those things end up meshing together and creating the type of athlete that we're trying to do with the program.
Yeah, for sure. And we, like, just kind of a logistical note, like, it is, like Drew alluded to, like, the back squat day, like, we don't ask very often for someone to power clean, jerk, put the barbell on their back for a set of back squats, unless it's like a very reasonable weight that we're not concerned at all really about safety so much. So we do ask athletes to take a bar out of the rack on a back squat day, but we also, like, are pretty mindful of the logistical requirement of barbell in a back squat rack. It's like, well, my squat rack is the same as my pull-up bar. So if you do back squats, like, I can't do pull-ups. And, like, we get that. So we kind of take that shit into consideration.
And there's partner versions.
And it's partner versions.
Exactly.
There's easy ways to, like, make that accessible at your gym. And then we put in the coach's notes, like, if there's a question, we're lucky enough to have a pretty good sized space and equipment, but we still have to share shit. And I'm always, like, asking Kyle or you or me, the programmers, like, hey, if we might even struggle a tiny bit to run this in our gym, like, we can't program it. We're not going to, like, ask other affiliates to do a fucking timeline and Gantt chart to figure out when people are supposed to start exercising. So
there's a back squat row workout mid-August that I think you guys are really going to like. It's real special.
There's a back squat row get over workout mid-July.
Throw that out.
Where's that back squat row? Which one?
August 15th. It's a trick as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah. Oh, we haven't even gone over that. I'm canceling that.
We're gonna make it heavier. All right. Heavy days, we're just gonna rotate on the even weeks. So we have our list of movements that we know. You take this barbell and you make it heavy in your deadlift or your clean or whatever it is. It's going to make you stronger. GPP lifting, we have pressing on the even weeks, and that's all forms of pressing, correct, Hunter? So that's your strict press, push jerk, kind of the shoulder to overhead myriad, including some strict pressing. And then odd weeks, that's going to be in the workout itself. So same kind of concept here. We're rotating through, making sure that, the progressions that we have throughout the year take us from, practicing, maybe gymnastics pressing to barbell pressing, different variations where it's quarter extremity or it's just, your strict movement, and then making sure that it's actually in workout so we can express those things. And I don't know that athlete IQ is maybe there's a softer term for the affiliate setting, but it's definitely one of those movements that can be really challenging to audit for an affiliate member. So
which movement? Sorry.
Honestly, any shoulder to overhead stuff when it becomes in workout, right?
Yeah.
It's a very unique stimulus because sometimes it's like a light push press and you just think you're having the best time. And then you realize it's sort of like a chest to bar. You put it down and your heart rate goes from 130 to 190 somehow.
Yeah.
When you snap your fingers, or, you've got a workout that's got 3 rounds of 12 shoulder to overhead at 155.
I'm skipping that day.
And, everything's there. You're ready to go in round 1. And then what happens in rounds 2 and 3? Like, should you have done more than one set? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a piece of understanding, like, it's unique, not in just you having the athlete IQ, but the coach also knowing how and when to scale the movement for you. So it's honestly one of the reasons why I think it doesn't get programmed in competition that much, because there's a big spread, like scores.
Yeah, there's also like
6 minutes to 10 minutes.
a standard judging element that goes along with
Sure.
that. Like even this week we've got that. I think it got posted on socials, Instagram, whatever. That 12, 3 rounds of deadlift, toe to bar, push press, and it's like it's one of those movements where like it's such a valuable movement that you don't want it to not get programmed, but having also coached at an affiliate for a decade, like I know like 48% of those push presses are actually going to be push jerks. And I'm like, you really want to like So where it's like it's worth taking the time to teach athletes to do those movements correctly. And it also is like I think the push press is probably the best example because of like the combination of core stability, core to extremity movement, and then also just like shoulder strength that it requires. Sure. But like being able to teach athletes how to control their midline, how to like, you know, what full shoulder range of motion actually looks like and like what they should be shooting for. I think just like getting people doing more pressing and assuming that, you know, the coaching is actually like, hey, no, that's a push jerk, like, or hey, no, like the finished position of the barbell overhead is not 7 inches in front of your, you know, the frontal plane, right? It's like with your back bent at 45 degrees, like there's a sneaky midline demand with some of these overhead and pressing kind of movements that we have programmed this phase.
Moving on to gymnastics, same kind of concept here, strict/traditional kipping pull-ups in the odd weeks, and then in workout in the even weeks. And again, I'll throw this out there. This actually reminds me of something that we've talked about before to the listeners in terms of like segmented training. So you always get this like grand idea as an athlete or as a coach that if I lock in on my like monostructural conditioning and my weightlifting and my gymnastics EMOMs, we'll call it, then I'm going to be amazing at CrossFit, right? Because I'm pushing the intensity higher in these things. And lo and behold, there is an alchemy and a magic to CrossFit, to couplets and triplets, short, medium, and long. And we don't even need to know why, but it is a fact of fucking life. And as a programmer, you can get too cute with the way that you do things. And something that we've noticed is when we branch out into odd weeks, gymnastic strength, even weeks in WOD, that we end up producing on a long enough time horizon better athletes at pull-ups, better athletes at pressing, better athletes at back squatting. It does work, right? You want it to work where even and odd weeks we're doing this back squat progression. And we're telling you that we've been programming for affiliates for 16 fucking years. And there are certain things that, again, like you're just reminded, like I talk about the midwit meme all the time, but it's like, we should probably do this on its own and in a workout. Is the Neanderthal and then the crying guy in the glasses is like, no, you need to back squat this much and you better have 9 minutes and 12 seconds of rest in between. And then the hooded, you know, sensei on the other side is like, we should probably do this outside of Metcons and inside.
Yeah, we should do both.
It works.
That's funny. I actually had a realization as to why what you said works, which is actually just the answer to like, why does CrossFit work? Mm-hmm. So listeners, like here it is, the Greg Glassman reincarnate. No, I did this last engine phase, there's been 1 day a week of like high rocks, like a high rocks day in engine. I did the workout with 3 of our members, which was a like almost half high rocks, basically like 50% of the distances on most things, did the sleds, did the carries, did all that stuff. And I was like, at the end of it, I was like, okay, like I understand why it was what I thought it was and why people like it. It's like, it's a long, sweaty workout. It's low skill. I can do it. Like, got it. It's the same reason people like Orange Theory and F45 and like think CrossFit's stupid. Like, got that. But the realization that I had as to why, but it sucked. And it was like, it was still shitty. And it was still like, man, I'm a pretty good like endurance like athlete in CrossFit. Like I do well in the 20-minute AMRAPs, right? But in a workout like that, I was like, man, I was really gassed. And I thought, and I figured my assessment is that like, it also has to do with the fact that there are like 86 movements in the thing, right? Like one of them is bound to fuck you up one way or another. But what I think actually occurs is that it's a good blend of all 3 energy systems. So it's obviously an endurance event, right? So at baseline, it is an aerobic event, but individual.
Not when you're pushing that fucking sled.
Exactly. Well, that's what it is, right? It's like you get when a lot of times, like when you segment things like that, it's like we're only doing strength, we're only doing cardio, we're only doing gymnastics or whatever. Like that's fair. Like there is a place for that, for skill development and teaching your brain how to do movements correctly and whatnot. And like even if you were to you know, if the goal were exclusively improve my 1 rep max back squat, yeah, there would probably be a lot of back squatting and maybe not as much of it in a workout. But from a full fitness perspective, like an event, like a long duration event like that, it's like, okay, it's predominantly aerobic, but like there are a handful of places that demand a very much like phosphocreatine, ATP, energy pathway kind of demand, right? It's like, I can't push this sled continuously for the 100 meters. Like I'm pushing it like 10, 15 seconds at a time before I have to stop. And it's like, so you've got the underlying aerobic necessity for like the entire event, but like, okay, now there's a 3 to 4 minute ski row, okay, which is like, that's pretty anaerobic. And in that like middle glycolytic pathway sort of thing, you've got the sled pull, you've got the sled push, even the wall ball for a lot of athletes, which is like a repeated explosive movement, just like those little spikes in kind of the energy system demand that occurs, I think is what makes a workout like that. And you just compare it to any like super long fucking CrossFit workout, long grinder, if there's a hero workout or there's like a, you know, a random heavy barbell where you have to do it only a couple times, but it's like, holy fuck, why does that crush me for the rest of my workout? That was my realization that's why CrossFit works. It's like, I'm going to train all 3 of your energy systems at the same time and in random spurts and intervals, and fuck you.
Yeah, and that's your energy system side. And then the other side, from a muscular standpoint, like it gets overlooked. It almost gets made fun of, but there's like bodybuilding level rep schemes that are going on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You are doing what you're talking about. Is just like a full-on assault on every energy system aside from maybe super long and slow. And oh, by the way, let's just mix in some bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's
and it's
like
that's
provide
why people look the way that they do.
Super. Yeah, for sure. I think exactly.
All right. So it's summer here. It is really fucking summer here. I don't know if it's part of your life, Chad Hunter, is just what happened to you out in the gym. People might have been able to tell towards the beginning of the podcast. You're less red now.
Yeah, no, I was moist.
Like just walking from my car on the pavement 500 feet into the gym door, like something about the like UV index, something about
sweat dripping off weird corners of the body.
Fucking gnarly. And when it gets humid here, like when we used to have the group of games athletes from Houston, more than once they came up in the summer and was like, how is this worse than Texas? And I'm like, it's just real bad for a real short period of time.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking gnarly. And I'm sure people are like, how is that possible? But the humidity and the dew point is just absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
like,
really
if you wanted to crush that workout, you need to do it at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, no.
Maybe even that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So all that to say that the running bias is still here. We're out there. We talked about it and why we named the phase the wolf. We would generally have a running bias compared to everything else, I think, year round. And maybe even we do. I'm not sure if we would go back and look at what we bias the most. I know for a lot of gyms, like one of the things that we did change is when we have running on Misfit affiliate, oftentimes it's different here because of the weather. So it'll say like run this much, and then in our gym it's either shuttle runs or echo bike or whatever.
Yeah, just when it's too cold to reasonably ask people to run.
It works too well, and the barrier to entry is so low that continuing to bias it when we can here makes a lot of sense. And I do think that if I was writing a program for, bought a gym in Southern California and it's 72 degrees and sunny every single day.
Y'all motherfuckers better buy running shoes.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it just works. So it's not common for us to have, we typically are trying to phase tell a story about the way that we're progressing. And there is still a narrative here, and it's run faster.
Yeah. Yeah, if we had I would say, to answer your question, we definitely buy it. You just naturally see it more during like the northern hemisphere summer months. So like for the handful of affiliates who are not in that part of the world, or or maybe you have access to being outside year round, like if I had a gym, like you said, Southern Cal, anywhere where it could run year round, like those motherfuckers would be pounding the pavement at least weekly. In some capacity. And there's a reason, like anybody who's an affiliate member here who's listening to this podcast knows my burning disdain for the athlete who like happily like struts over to the C2 bike for the warm-up jog. And I'm like, motherfucker, get on your own 2 feet and move your body that way. There's just no replacement for moving your body through space. Like, you can make the argument that the assault bike is shittier than running or rowing. Like, I'll say I think rowing's shittier than running, but that's just a personal bias. But there is
Rowing's the shittiest thing that's ever existed.
Yeah, no doubt. We can all agree on that. But like, there's just no replacement for moving your body through space. And like, injuries aside, like, well, one, if you are like constantly getting injured from running, like, that's a larger underlying issue, barring like some weird like legitimate genetic anomaly or just like a high propensity for injury when running. But like, you're a bipedal human being whose most functional utility is to propel themselves forward, whether it's walking or sprinting. Like, you just have to be able to do it, and it is by far the best way to condition your body and your legs. And I would say that that's superior to cycling, just because it just doesn't do the same thing to your entire body as getting out and running is. But we did make adjustments from last year where I think this phase last year was when we started mixing running more into workouts, whereas the previous phase was like, it was a lot of monostructural running, like interval repeats and stuff like that. And from a it works. So like, I don't care. You don't like it?
Right.
Good. Don't care. But there is like a salesmanship / like, hey, we want people to actually be excited to come to the gym and like, yep. If it's 5 by 400 meter run on its own, or it's 5 rounds of a 400 meter run, a couple of back squats, and then rest, and that jumps up attendance 25% because it's not just a monostructural running day, like, I'll meet you in the middle with that. So there's much more. There's still plenty of like just straight up traditional running intervals, but for the most part, like, the running gets mixed in quite a bit into the workouts, and people seem to enjoy that. That's a little bit more palatable for people who don't like running versus the like, sorry, 5 by 800 meters, enjoy.
Sure.
I'll still fucking program it. I don't care.
Before we talk about some of the extra stuff here, is there anything else about this phase that you kind of want to get across?
Yeah, I would say one thing that we're kind of experimenting with right now is, and you may have noticed this, but there's no like week 1 test Metcon. And that's been the case. That was the case last week. For the rationale for that, for the lifting, is pretty straightforward. That's because I think we do a good job of rotating the traditional like heavy lifts. So we have like a list of like heavy lifts where we're going to say, like, if we're going to program this in a like lift only class, like, there are a couple of lifts where it's just like, I think we could do more with this lift, like at a small Metcon, we could do something a little bit different. But for like, let's say a heavy back squat day, a deadlift, a clean and jerk, something like that, we want to just focus on that in the heavy day. And because we rotate basically all of those true heavy lifts frequently enough, and we make sure that there's like, hey, you're going to do a heavy, build to a heavy triple, or you could, in theory, find a 3-rep max, or a build to a heavy single, whatever. Yep. Essentially, right. we work those lifts in often enough that I don't need to waste, quote unquote, week 1, day 1 of a new training phase to say, find a 1-rep max back squat. I'm going to say, like, hey, we're going to jump right into it. You're going to use a percentage that hopefully like makes sense to you. In week 8, you will get the chance to do your 1-rep max back squat to see if all of that stuff paid off. AMRAP is a test.
It's not,
like, in a way, for sure.
2 at 80 when you could do more. You know what I mean, or it's
exactly
too much and you can't do it. Those lifts that are sprinkled in throughout do have a testing type of element to them,
for sure. But we make sure that there are enough opportunities throughout the entire year where it's like, you do have the ability to build to a heavy single, and if it's feeling great on this day, like, find a PR, like, excellent, as opposed to dedicating one very specific day that's like, wow, if you missed the boat this day, like, there's always next year. Like, that's not great. So that's easy to like say, hey, we're not going to do a 1 rep max test at the beginning. We'll just do it at the end. But as far as like testing and retesting a very specific, like custom programmed Metcon, like I could make both sides of the argument for it, as I'm sure you could. It's just like, for the average affiliate goer, the question then becomes like, okay, if we're going to test pushing and pulling gymnastics, whatever, in week 1, we're then going to do that thing once a week for the next 6 weeks, and then we're going to retest it in week 8. My question then becomes, okay, so there are 6 training weeks, basically 1 day per week, in order to get better at this very specific gymnastics element. Is it worth, one, how many of those days is every single affiliate athlete actually going to do, right? So if it's 6 of them and you only attend 4 of them, like, did you really get the bias, or did you just happen to show up on the right day? And the second one is like, when we program like a custom workout in week 1, there's always the element of like, I just did the workout incorrectly in week 8. I know how to do this workout better. It's like retesting an open workout a day and a half later. It's like, you didn't get fitter in the day and a half. You just know how to do the workout better. So instead, what we're kind of experimenting with is like, we're going to just sprinkle a lot of the traditional benchmarks into the programming in such a way that's like, so toward the end of the phase, like, surprise, run 5K for time. Like, we've been doing a shitload of running. We want you to get outside, pound the pavement. We've tested that before last year. Like, let's see if you've improved over an entire year's worth of GPP programming. Fran is making its appearance at the end of the phase. We've done a shitload of pushing, a shitload of pulling, a shitload of squatting. Like, amazing. Fran seems to be a perfect benchmark to kind of test fitness as it relates to like the specific biases that we've kind of focused on this phase. So that's not to say that that's like a permanent change, but I think just from a like long-term perspective, I think it could be more beneficial to test and retest in that regard than like week 1, week 8. And maybe we could argue about that over a different podcast sometime, but that's kind of what we're experimenting with a little bit. So don't be surprised that there wasn't like a test week. Toward the end of the phase, there will be tests that relate directly to the things that we've been working on.
In an affiliate setting, finding a way to to test without putting the exact same workout in close proximity to one another is where you get the like emails from the affiliate that are like, oh my God, like they lifted this much weight on this heavy deadlift day, or, you know, we had so many people run, you know, a 5K at, you know, a minute or 2 faster per mile, that sort of thing. Yeah. One of the things that happens that we find, and again, this is where having ideas as a programmer, but not like having the humility to like shift is so important. We have these workouts that are, you know, 15 to 30 minute beat downs. And when they show back up in the programming too soon, it's like, what the fuck are we doing this again? I don't want to do this. And if you don't have buy-in from your crew, like, it's not going to be the same. So we're basically still testing and retesting through different means. And we will have things like something that we always used to do at, you know, we'll continue to do in phase 1, 2, and 3 on the competitive program is that whole like week 1 and week 9 thing where the non-tests are just different variations of the same thing. Like in settings like this, we can go in and program a similar workout, and as coaches can be like, hey, do you remember blah, blah, blah? And then the athlete's like, man, I'm running my frids now at like a minute 40 and they used to be 2:10. Like, that's the kind of shit that we're looking for in the affiliate setting. And I think the timeline of a phase working, we've kind of nailed into that 7 to 9 week range. But that test retest model, especially if it's just really nasty, it's not something that you should do 8 to 10 times a year in an affiliate.
Yeah, we had, I'm trying to think, we had a couple phases ago, it might have been like the end of last year, it was that horrendous wall ball burpee box jump over shuttle run workout, and I distinctly remember like attendance was pretty low on the retest day, and it was like, even for myself, like I went slower, but I was like, I really don't want to fucking do this thing again. And like,
you don't read a Tolstoy book twice.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully it impacts you sufficiently the first time that it's ingrained in your head. But it's like, is the balance between, you know, and the devil on the shoulder says like, well, like, we're here for fitness. Like, we want to show that you got better. Like, if you don't want to do the workout, that's your problem. But it's like, we could probably meet in the middle somewhere, do this a little bit better, encourage people to get into the gym like more frequently versus like, fuck, like I have to retest this. There's pressure for me to do better. Like, I don't feel great. It's like, let's keep fitness the right combination of highly effective but also like fun and desirable.
And I'll say something to the listeners that'll put Hunter on the spot a little bit. I've been pushing for a little while to have a few Misfit affiliate benchmarks where we feel like the way that we put a season together, this one here, 6 months apart, something like that. After working on all of these separate things, that's the kind of thing to me where you can have the best of both worlds, similar to 5K runs, Fran, etc.
We did do that. Yeah, and I think we definitely can because we've programmed so many, like, we have a whole bunch of test workouts. We just don't need to do them, week 1, week 8. But I think last week we finished up the phase that we did and we retested a strict pull-up, strict handstand push-up thing, which was like the benchmark test from last year. So I think just like, for sure, adding like, putting Misfit benchmarks kind of alongside your traditional girl workouts, your monostructural tests, your gymnastics tests, like, for sure we can sprinkle those in. Got a couple of gems to bring back.
I've got a question for the listeners, and maybe we'll hear back on social, or again, you can email me in the Telegram group. This makes me happy because I'm the one that's writing it, but like, we have a pretty consistent group of people at our gym doing the competitor extra, and I think my opinion on it's changed a little bit. Again, we talked about one of the reasons why I write the competitor extra to sort of be like, how could someone take class and then go win the local throwdown? That's kind of the idea, or do better in the open, sort of jump up a little bit. That's how I'm writing it. That's the way that I'm thinking about it. And again, that can be a retention tool for the gyms that have the open gym culture, there's 12 people in there and they follow 12 different online programs and they're not really part of the community, and then they leave because that's not that fun.
Yeah.
So trying to move away from that, and it's working in a way here because there's like these little pods and groups of people that are doing these things together. There's still your like, that person that likes to crush the open that's kind of doing it on their own when they can. But we've got a decent amount of people doing it here, and that informs the way that I write some of the things. Sure. And I think I'm cool with as many people that are doing it here compared to how I would have felt about it had you told me that was going to end up being the case. And I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on it. And then obviously the listeners, if you guys have any groups, doing the competitor extra, it seems to be helpful, and it seems to be like not too much work.
Yeah, I would say, I will definitely say that there are more people doing the competitor extra now than there were before. And I have pretty good ideas why. I think a lot of it had to do with the programming because of how we
class.
Hatchet. It was literally just Hatchet class. We previously had an hour-and-a-half class where we ran the competitor extra in it. So as a programmer, like, we have to consider like the logistics of a 90-minute class, of the people who were taking that class. And so often, like, those people were just like, this is just a convenient time of day. I don't need to do the extra work. Like, the order of the pieces was based on what the coach wanted to do that day, which is like, I think correct, but like it just didn't work super well. And now there's a lot more people doing the competitor extra, which is great and which is fine. I don't think I have anything like negative or constructive to say. I would say that the constructive element goes to the athletes doing it. Like, in the document that you receive when you sign up for the programming, like, there is a front page that says like, who's the competitor extra for? And then there's like a note on what it means to do the competitor extra. And like, as a coach, that's where you're having the conversation with an athlete. It's like, why are you doing this? And if the athlete can actually like articulate why they're doing power cleans when like they can't put their arms straight over their head, and it's like, why aren't you working on mobility or something like that? Like, I can get behind an athlete who has a justifiable like reason, or like wants, even if it is just like, I want to get stronger. Those are justifiable reasons. It's just, it should provide the coach with an avenue to talk to that athlete about like, where are your eggs going as far as like your time and effort and energy in order to meet the end that you're claiming, right? Because it's like, if it's just like, well, I want to get stronger, and like, so you're doing squat, you're doing the front squat competitor extra, you want to get stronger. It's like, your front rack mobility is horrendous. Like, you don't squat below parallel. Like, we're now just putting volume into your body, which now requires more recovery, more nutrition, more sleep, all that sort of stuff. And like, over a long enough period of time of doing additional volume, like moderately well to like poorly, it's like, it's just a really short term. It's like, I find a lot of people are just like addicted to exercise. They just want to be doing something. And like, I get it. Like, I have like, that's golf for me currently. I want to get better at it, so I'm willing to do the things. I'm a big bird guy now. So like, you don't want to discourage athletes from training and doing more and say like, no, like, get the fuck out of the gym. Like, I don't want you here. Like, you don't need to be here. Like, just do the 1 hour class. Like, I get it. You just need, as an athlete, like, make sure you're actually thinking about what the things are that you want to improve upon, and like are actually dedicated. If you are doing extra work, with the extra work comes extra mobility, extra nutrition, extra soft tissue work, extra recovery, all that stuff. And for the everyday person, like, and as somebody who's done CrossFit for about 15 years, like, if I get after the class workout, like, really hard, like, I do not have it in me to like 15 minutes after the conclusion of class.
That's what was so hard about that 90-minute class. It's like, I'm doing split jerks with 75 pounds. Like,
yeah, like, I can't do this. And so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, if I can't do this, like, well, like, how the fuck are you like feeling good enough to be power cleaning 80% right now? And so it's like, just make sure that we're dedicating the appropriate intensity toward the class workout. That is like the primary kind of program. And there are plenty of days where it's like, yep, like, I've got the juice, I'm feeling good, I want to get after this extra, like, awesome. I want you to do that. Just don't confuse doing extra work with automatic, like, improvements in fitness. Like, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be a focal point. There has to, like, and you have to have the commensurate recovery. So I think it's been going great. Like, a lot of athletes at the gym, like you said, are doing it way more than there were before, and people seem to really be liking it. People doing it between classes, open gym, all that sort of stuff.
The two variations of it that make me happy are, one, someone who has the class with a snatch or a handstand push-up or something like that, and they're like, damn it, like, I really want to get better at this. And then you see them out there cherry picking, like, this is probably appropriate for me to practice some variation of it. So that's one that I really like to see, because that's just an extra level of buy-in from an athlete, and from like a mental standpoint, you love to see that as a coach. The other is some of our fitter athletes on a lift only day, just doing some dirty conditioning afterwards. And that's always going to make me smirk.
I can get real behind people pulling machines out in the sun and getting after some conditioning.
2K ski with rope climbs on the EMOM and shit like that. Like, when I get a DM or whatever, someone stops me and they're like, I did this one the other day, I'm like, I love that. That's not like cherry picking, like GHD sit-up workouts and then going at,
it's my favorite.
negative 8 watts on the C2 bike, like that kind of thing. So yeah, we've got a competitor extra daily within the programming, and then the least talked about, the ratio of effectiveness to least talked about benefit is the engine program. The athletes at our gym that have been part of the engine crew for a while, that take Chris's Sunday engine class, that sprinkle in some of those extra days that we provide for everybody in the programming, are really annoying to take class with. Because when everyone crushes the toes to bar and the lunges, and then you go out to run or row or bike and they fly past you and they look happier than you, you're like, fuck off, engine people. Or at least that's what I think.
Yeah. No, and this last phase was great. We got good feedback on the High Rocks day. There was a High Rocks day each week, but each day there's basically 3 days a week. And Chris kind of has a focal point on predominantly day 1 and day 2. The third day of the week is kind of what the CrossFit light maybe is the way to put it. Like, exactly what you think of when you think engine. So like, there's still weights, dumbbells, kettlebells, that sort of thing. not typically many barbells, not really any gymnastics movement, maybe a burpee pull-up, that sort of thing, but it's the kind of usual mix of longer duration, low skill movement workouts. But like, fuck that. There was one last phase. I gotta I don't even know if you saw this one at any point. I'm gonna find you this one, because this was, I laughed out loud when I was like auditing this workout. Chris was justifiably very excited. 4-time, 100 wall balls, 30/20 pounds, a 400-meter run, 100 burpees, 400-meter run. And I just laughed. I was just LOL'd at like a 400-meter run between those two fucking movements. But it's an excellent program. The day one kind of focus is on unilateral strength, so single leg strength and endurance. He's got a bunch of split squats with machine stuff like RDL, single leg, a whole shitload of single leg work, which I think is like an outstanding complement to the squatting work.
Yeah.
If kind of
for sure.
separated enough in the weekly program. The day two is like very much long, slow monostructural work. And like on, when it can be difficult to program that in your like full affiliate program, as valuable as a K run or row is, like doing that in a 1-hour class can be tricky. So having kind of a dedicated,
you're asking me to pay
like,
$200 a month to
program.
leave the gym.
Yeah. Yes. It's fantastic. And then, like I said, the day 3 stuff is the kind of like lower skill, just like grunt work, CrossFit workouts, a la wall ball, run, burpee.
And I don't know how many gyms out there program that day as a class on Sunday, but it's definitely a favorite of our members here.
We
get
be
a suggestion.
You like, we've talked about that, gyms who want like 7 days a week programming. Like you get the engine program for free with like the affiliate program, whether it's in a PDF format or in like a programming partner. It's there. And like you just alluded to, like our Sunday engine class is always just bumping. Chris does an awesome job with it, but like people fucking love that shit. So that could be an excellent like Sunday class for your gym, or maybe you cherry pick an engine workout or something like that and plug that into the day that your gym, doesn't have programming for. So
for sure. Yeah. Anything to end the podcast? I mean, I'm looking through this and I just see squats and running and pressing and pulling, and that sounds like CrossFit to me. And I know through watching our athletes here at the affiliate and hearing from the gyms that we know that do a really good job of coaching it out there, that our programming continues to get better over time. And one of the reasons is because we program, I believe, as a group. So if you do want to go off the reservation and not provide a test workout in week 1, got to talk through why that's the case and how we're going to kind of keep an eye on it. And if you're going to trust someone with your affiliate programming specifically, we've got to combine some ungodly number of 40 plus years of sort of programming and coaching in the affiliate setting and owning affiliates and all that stuff. So I think we're definitely up for the job, and if you can execute out on the floor, your member is going to be really happy over a long timeline of how fit and strong they get.
The program is pretty effective with terrible coaching. The program is wildly effective with really proactive, quality, initiative taking type coaching. So and that's where kind of our responsibility ends and yours begins, in my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I will say we've said this before and we normally don't get responses, but I'll say it again just for fun. If there is content that you guys are looking for, you can tell us. We can just have that conversation through Telegram, email, Instagram, wherever you want. But there's also just like, hey guys, it would be really cool to see, how do you teach this? That sort of thing, because that's easy for us to do. We're not always like, we've made so many damn videos over the years that we're not totally in tune with like, hey, have you guys, gone back and looked at this, or have you seen this problem, etc. Like suggestions like that are super helpful for us and easy for us to make.
For sure.
We do it. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. The Wolf is live now. teammisfit.com. Click on sign up now, and you can get a 2-week free trial at StreamFit, Push Press, or Sugar WOD. If you would like a free sample, shoot me an email, coach@misfitathletics.com. Our individual programming, click the link in bio to head to Strivey or Fitter to get signed up. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Misfits.
All right, you big bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit.
bunch of misfits I've ever seen either.